Hello, and welcome to a new segment on our channel called We're Drunk, and we want to say what games are.
It's a working title. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure out the actual logistics of it. But we wanted to do like a combination of like drunk history and just like a game review in general. Not like a game review, but like a game review, you know?
Yeah, so basically the way this is going to work is both of us are going to be drunk. Both of us are drunk. We have ingested large amounts of alcohol. We are both of the legal age. And the drunker one, who at this point is Sam.
Yeah, hello.
is going to try to recall the plot of a game from beginning to end the best they can, purely from memory. And I'll throw some wacky edits in there. It'll be a fun time, and we'll probably get the plot very, very wrong, but hopefully it's entertaining for you guys.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
So the game that I have chosen is Bioshock. It is one of my favorite games of all time. I've played all of them. I've played Bioshock 1, 2, Infinite, and I've played the Bioshock 2 DLC and the Infinite DLC, Burial at Sea. So it's one of my favorite games of all time. I know for a fact I'm going to botch the story, but that'll make it funnier.
For context, I have played like a few hours of the first Bioshock, but I kind of know like the general setup, but I don't really totally know the story. I will have the Wikipedia page of the plot pulled up, so if Sam gets completely lost, I can kind of get him back on track a little bit, but I won't give him too many hints to keep the integrity of trying to recall this from memory. And yeah, this is going to be more of a, I guess, just kind of podcasty type show, but I'm excited about it. I think it'll be good.
Oh, I'm going to burp.
Oh.
It's coming. I feel it.
Oh, you can't blue ball our audience like that.
Eventually I'll burp. But...
Alright, so yeah, whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Alright, so Bioshock. A great game, great aesthetic. What can I say? I highly recommend playing it. But yeah, the first game starts off you're on a plane, and your character, I believe your name is Jack.
That is correct.
I'm just going off of the first Bioshock 2. I'm not gonna because I know the DLCs and everything give a lot more context to the first game, but I'm just gonna go off of what you know from the first game. So your name is Jack, you're on a plane, and you're like, my parents always told me you're gonna do good, kid. And then you have like a little gift, like a little Christmas present, and you open it up and there's a fucking gun inside, and then you hear screaming, it's like, ah! And then you're like, oh shit, and then the plane crashes into the ocean, and you're drowning. You're like, blah, 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 blah. You're drowning and not having a good time. But then, oh, I'm gonna burp. God damn it, it's like right there, I feel it. I know I'm gonna burp. But, so you swim up and you're like not drowning anymore, but the plane is sinking and there's like fire everywhere. And so you swim and you see this little lighthouse, right? And you swim to the lighthouse and there's like little stairs, and you step up the stairs, and then you open up the door, and then you go into this little submarine type thing called a bathysphere. And you go into the bathysphere and you start going deeper into the ocean, and then this little film starts playing, and there's this guy named Andrew Ryan, and he's like, I am Andrew Ryan. Is the man not entitled to the sweat on his brow? No, says the communists. And you're like, who's this fucking staunch Republican ass guy?
Communist, I swear to God, dude.
Yeah, fucking, you're like, who's this fucking guy? But then he's like, I think man is cool. And then And then he's like, and then the video ends and it shows that you're underwater. And it's like, I built Rapture. And it's this city underwater, and you're like, whoa, shit. And there's like whales and squids and shit. And there's like this whole big city. And he's like, I built Rapture because Rapture is cool. And people said I couldn't do it, but I did it. And you're like, oh shit, like cool, I'm in this underwater city. And then as you start entering Rapture, there's this guy named Atlas, and he's like, oh, there's a bathysphere coming up. I got to get it. He's like, what's going on? And he fucking, he sends this guy to get you. And then you surface, and then the guy is like, no, please. And you see there's this shady character who's gonna kill him, and then it does kill him, and then it fucking it kills him, and then they're called Splicers, the characters of that live in Rapture, but I'll get more into them later. There it is. Oh, there it is. Finally. But like he tears apart the bathysphere but doesn't get in, so you're fine. And then oh my god. And then so the guy who's talking to you is Atlas, right? I might have already said that. But Atlas is like, would you kindly pick up the shortwave radio? And there's a little radio that he was talking to you from, and you pick it up. And he's like, now exit the bathysphere. And then you exit, and then you start walking, and it's all spooky and dark. And you have to, keep going. But then you start walking, and he's like, would you finally... would you kindly find a crowbar or something? And you get your first weapon, which is a wrench. And so now
That's
you
not
can...
a crowbar.
It's not a crowbar. There wasn't one lying around. I don't know if that was a fucking Half-Life reference or whatever. But you pick it up, and then now you have a weapon. And so you can beat the Splicers. And so you find a few, and you hit them with your wrench, and they die. Because, they're going to kill you otherwise, but whatever. And then you find this vending machine, I guess, called Gatherer's Garden, and there's this little vial of red liquid, and your character is like, alright, I guess there's no other option but to fucking get a needle and just stick this into my arm, even though I've literally never been here before, and it's at the bottom of the ocean, it's probably rusty and shit, I'm gonna get diseases, but yeah, no other option but to stick it directly into my forearm.
It makes sense.
And so you stick it into your forearm. I'm okay.
He doesn't have the Rona, I promise.
And then you start freaking out because your veins are glowing blue and shit. And Atlas is like, don't worry, it's just your genetic code being rewritten, as if that's not literally awful to have your genetic code just being rewritten at the bottom of the ocean. But, then when you're passed out, there's this splicer that comes up and he's like, oh, this little fucker's got his cherry popped. And you're like, oh no, what's going on? But then he runs away because a big daddy's coming, and I'll explain what those are later. But basically, you wait.
That's one of the characters in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
Yeah, so all of our fans out there who are fans of All-Stars Battle Royale, now you know because you watched this video. I'm gonna burp again. I'm trying to force it. Alright, whatever.
Just gonna vomit.
I'm just gonna throw up on the microphone.
That'll be fun. It'll be good content.
But anyway, you wake up, and now you can shoot lightning from your hand. Why can you shoot lightning from your hand? Well, it turns out that there's this stuff called Atom that the people of Rapture like, and that's why they're called Splicers, is because they used Atom a lot, and then they became these grotesque meth users. but it's Atom. And how do they get Atom? Well, the scientists of Rapture discovered this sea slug down at the bottom of the ocean that has this genetic goop in it called Adam, and then Andrew Ryan is like, let's just fucking give it to everyone, and everyone's like, yay, I like this, it makes me better, I can do cool things. And it's like, yeah, you can shoot lightning out of your hand, bitch. What do you think about that, fucker? So anyway, you wake up and now you can shoot lightning out of your hand, which is cool. And you're just, you know, you're in Rapture now, and you're fighting Splicers, and you get different guns, and you move on. And you learn of this character named Fontaine, who they're like, Fontaine is dead. He was a guy, now he's dead. And you have to go to Fontaine Fisheries, which is this like fishing port. And so you go there, and then while you're there, you meet this guy, Peach Wilkins, I believe is his name. I don't know, possibly. But he's like, I'm Peach Wilkins. here's a camera. Go take some pictures of these splicers called spider splicers. And they're these specific splicers that have like hooks on their hands, and they can fuck you up with their hooks, and they can crawl on the ceilings and shit, and it's all scary. But you know, I missed a totally big part. There's this surgeon you have to fight, and he was a big plastic surgeon, but whatever, that doesn't fucking matter, I guess. I mean, it matters in the big picture, but I don't care. So so you take pictures of the spider splicers, and then Peach is like, oh, I'm crazy. And so you're like, okay. And then you have to fight and kill him, and then you do. And Atlas is like, oh, my family is in this submarine, please go get them. And then you go to the submarine, and then you go to the submarine, and then you watch as Atlas's family gets fucking destroyed in an explosion, and Atlas is like, no! But you're like, I don't care, I'm just playing a game. So next you go to Arcadia, I believe, which is like this. It's like this big garden, and it's how, like, you know, you breathe underwater, because you need to have an oxygen supply. So like, why not have big plants? And so they have a big garden that pours oxygen throughout the underwater place known as Rapture. Yes. Also, I forgot to mention, this whole time you're fighting big daddies, and there's little sisters. So little sisters are these little genetic fucking freak little girls. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but they're little.
Who do you think you're gonna offend?
I'm gonna offend all the little girls listening to this podcast.
We do have a large child audience for this channel,
but there's these little girls that are little freaks, and so they harvest Adam. They go around and they harvest Adam from like corpses and stuff like that. And so obviously, all the splicers want the Adam, so they want to get the little sisters so they can get the Adams. Adam West. So the little sisters get the Adam. The splicers want the Adam. But obviously, the little sisters are incapable of protecting themselves because they're little girls. So they have these.
What are you, sexist?
I mean,
you think you can't do anything?
I mean, I guess, but at the same time, I know for a fact that they're like 10 years old, and I know personally I could fucking choke slam a little girl through a table if I wanted to. They wouldn't stand a fucking chance. So they made what is called the Big Daddies, who are these big guys who protect the little sisters so that you might have to mute that by the splicers, so they could get Adam. So there's the little sisters, and then the Big Daddies protect them. So this whole time you have to fight Big Daddies so that you can get to the little sisters, and then you have the option to either save them and purify them back into little girls, or you can harvest them And the difference is when you harvest them, you get more Atom, and then you can use them at the Gatherer's Garden to get more plasmids, which is like what you use to shoot lightning and like fireballs and telekinesis and stuff, or you can save them. And then there's this woman named Tenenbaum who kind of takes care of the little sisters and is like, hey, if you save them, I'll make it worth your while, and she gives you little Christmas presents. So I usually save them because then you get the good ending in the game. There's 2 different endings. There's the good ending and the bad ending. And if you save them, you get the good ending. And if you harvest literally one little sister, you get the bad ending. So just save them, because why not? And do you want to be the guy who feels bad because you killed little girls? I didn't think so. But anyway, you're in this little garden, right, called Arcadia. And there's this woman, I think, who's like, I live here. And you're like, what do I do? Because now Andrew Ryan is making all of the trees die so that there's no oxygen. So you have to make the trees live again.
Wait, so he's the fucking... What's the... From the Lorax? The Once Slayer?
The Once Slayer?
Yeah, he's the fucking Once Slayer from the Lorax.
Yeah, you go up to the fucking tree stump and it says... Unless, and you're like, oh shit, I read this Dr. Seuss book. I gotta save these trees. So the lady dies or whatever because she gets gassed by Andrew Ryan. And then you're like, oh no, I have to save the trees. And then you do, and you're like, cool. And then maybe next is Hephaestus, which is like the core, and it's all lava-y and stuff like that. And you're basically just trying to make your way to Andrew Ryan so you can figure out what the fuck's going on, and you can be like, hey, Andrew, not cool what you're doing here, guy, even though I literally just arrived here 2 hours ago, and I've decided that what you're doing is not cool. But obviously, you know, at this point, you're pretty overpowered. You got different guns, different upgrades, different plasmids, all kinds of stuff. And then eventually, you meet Andrew.
Can you shoot bees?
Yeah, you can shoot bees. One of the upgrades is you get like a hive on your hand and you shoot bees at people. I think that might be in Arcadia when you get that.
It's badass.
Yeah, because someone's like, you know, messing with you. They're like, hey, fuck you. And you're like, yeah, I can literally shoot bees at you, fucker. And then you do. But yeah, you go through. And then eventually you meet up with Andrew Ryan and he's like, hey, bitch, guess what? I bet you didn't know you were a fucking sleeper agent, and there's a literal phrase that I can use at any time to control you. And the phrase is, would you kindly? And if he says, would you kindly go over there and kick that girl in the face and pee on her? you have to, because you're...
Yeah, because he asked nicely.
Yeah, he said, would you kindly? So you have to, because he said, please.
You have to kindly kick a little girl in the face and then pee on her.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it kindly, please.
So it turns out that he and anyone can control you with that phrase, because that's like the control phrase, because you're a sleeper agent or whatever. As it turns out...
So that's like the anti-safe word.
Yeah, that's the anti-safe word. And as it turns out, through context clues throughout the game and other stuff like that... Oh, I know who I missed. There's this crazy artist guy named... What the fuck is his name? Can I get his name? He's like this crazy artist, and he wants you to complete this exhibit, which is like dead bodies covered in plaster or whatever, and you're like, no, I won't do that. Or you can, and then you can fight him, or not. It's optional.
Is that Sander Cohen?
Yeah, Sander Cohen. And Sander Cohen is like this eccentric artist man who believes that, you know, art is very important and shit like that. But that's not important anymore because we're already later on in the game. But I wanted to mention him because he's a good character.
Fuck art. You can quote me on that.
Fuck art, Ben McGee 2020. So yeah, Andrew Ryan, and through context clues you find out that the character you're playing as is the illegitimate son of Andrew Ryan. And then they raised him in Rapture and made him the sleeper agent and then sent him out in the real world and then later called him back using the phrase to, you know, do whatever because he's coming back.
Kick little girls in the face.
Yeah, kick little girls in the face and pee on them. But then you're like, Andrew Ryan's like, would you kindly club me to death with this golf club? And you're like, well, fuck,
I
guess I have to, because you said the phrase, so you asked nicely. So you kill him with a golf club.
Wait, so why does he want you to kill him?
I don't know, because he's crazy.
Okay.
Here, put up the real reason on screen why he wants to die.
Okay.
Cool. But then, so you're trying to fucking like destroy Rapture or whatever, because Atlas is like, hey, you should destroy Rapture, it's a good idea. But then after you kill Andrew Ryan, it turns out that Atlas is actually Fontaine, who got a new face from the surgeon I was talking about earlier to become a new character, pretending that Fontaine was dead, so that he could assume the personality of Atlas. And Atlas is like, ho ho ho, would you kindly fucking kill yourself now, because I'm actually Fontaine. And then you do. But then you wake up and Tenenbaum, who I mentioned earlier, also is like, you saved the little sisters, I save you, I pulled the chip out of your brain, so now you're not a sleeper agent anymore. And the phrase, would you kindly, doesn't do anything anymore. And you're like, cool, I'm a free man. So you fight your way through the rest of Rapture, clubbing people and zapping people and shooting people and all the splicers and whatnot. And then you're like, haha, I'm gonna kill you, Fontaine, you fuck. And he's like, no, I'm God now, because he's been splicing a lot. And so you're like, oh shit, he's really strong, what can I do? So you have to turn yourself into a big daddy by putting on the suit and changing your voice and all that stuff, so that you become a big daddy. And then all the little sisters are like, haha, wow, he big daddies, how cool. And so you're like, I am good now, I am the ultimate beast, I am big and strong.
Are you the biggest daddy?
They literally call you the biggest daddy. They say, look at you, you're a large father. So you become overpowered and you're big daddy now. And so it's time to fight Fontaine. And you meet Fontaine and he's fucking buff as shit. And he's like just fucking teaming with Adam, because he's been splicing like a motherfucker. So he's like big and buff and shiny and cool and hot, and you want to kiss him on his lips. And so he's the final boss, so you fight him. And then he smacks you or whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And then the little sisters come out of nowhere, and they start stabbing him with the atom extractors, the big needles, and they're like, you die now. And they go, and they fucking stab him, and he dies. And now, if you get the good ending, the little sisters are like, here's the key to the city, but I'm scared of you. And you say, don't worry, it's okay, I am a good man. And then you return to the surface with all the little sisters, and then you grow old, and it's cool, and they like hold your hand as you're dying and shit. And you're like, wow, this is cool. And then the bad ending is pretty much, ha ha ha, I am the leader of Rapture now, little sisters, die. I don't care about you anymore.
You pee on every single one of them.
You punch them in the face and you pee on all of them. And it's really graphic, and you're like, oh, I see why this game is rated M. But yeah, that's pretty much the first Bioshock. It's one of my favorite games. I also really like Infinite, of course. That's a very good game. The DLC for Infinite is very good. It ties in with the first game very well. Bioshock 2 is alright. It's not my favorite. I honestly think that the DLC for Bioshock 2 is better than the actual base game. But yeah, it's one of my favorite game series, and that's it.
Alright.
I missed a lot. I know for sure that I missed a lot, but that's the gist of the game. So,
well, thank you very much for taking us through it.
I need nicotine in my body.
Oh. All right. Well, thank you all for watching the first episode of whatever the fuck this show is going to be called. I don't know. You'll see it in the title.
It's going to be called Punching Little Girls and Peeing on.
We're going to get banned off of YouTube.
Yeah, we're going to get our channel shut down.
So thank you all for watching. Make sure you tune in for the next episode, which will be my recounting of the game Sonic Adventure 2 for the Sega Dreamcast or the GameCube if you didn't buy a fucking Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah, who the fuck owns a Dreamcast?
Yeah. Put in the comments if you own a Dreamcast.
Dislike this video if you own a Dreamcast.
All right. Okay, bye, guys. I love you.
I love you too. Hugs and kisses from Grandpa.